At Citywide, the words follow, bless and share mean a lot for us. These are the core of what our church is about, particularly the word follow. As we've been talking about, there's nothing more important than following Jesus. We really believe that Jesus is the answer to all of life's questions. And we as a church want to do all we can to help you follow Jesus. As part of the way we are preparing ourselves for this year, this whole year is going to be around what does it mean to actually follow Jesus. We'll be talking about that for the coming weeks. Then we're going to dive into the book of Acts and wrestle with what that means. And then there's an interesting tack in terms of, you might not think it's about following Jesus. We're actually going to look at a book about happiness. But the central thesis of our church is, as we've already said, Jesus is the answer to all of life's real problems. And we will discover all the research points us towards the fact that living from Jesus' teaching actually helps us to live a happier, more whole and more real life. Another thing I'm really pleased to be able to tell you about is today we're launching a new strategy to help you follow, bless and share. And it is mentoring. Whether you're 10 or 110, we think you need a mentor. And as part of that, we also think you need to be thinking about what does it mean for you to mentor others. We are trying to introduce this idea that all of us could really benefit from sitting down with someone for about an hour a month who will just be there to support you. So we would love to have a system where all of us are being mentored and all of us are also mentoring others. So if you've got an hour a month you could give to support somebody else, we'd encourage you to go to the website and sign up to be a mentor. If you kind of know you'd benefit from having someone on your team, someone on your side, helping you step into all that God has from you, then I'd encourage you, sign up to be mentored. And I don't know how to break the news to you. I think we all need both.
Well, Matt's asked me just to talk for a minute about prayer at Citywide. So yeah, we encourage everybody just to join in prayer wherever and whenever you can. Obviously, it's assumed that you do, but joining together corporately has an extra power to it, and I'd really encourage you to try and join in our corporate opportunities. There's the Monday morning time slot when we just pray at the office, and so from 9:30 till 10, every Monday morning we'd just love people to pop in and join us for that short time. And on Thursday nights we have our engine room online, so you can do it from your lounge room in your jammies if you want. And it's a beautiful time. We spend an hour just praying for different things at random as the Spirit leads. So it's not structured in any way and quite relaxed. And then also, of course, we have our prayer chain, and there are over 50 people on that chain now, and that's exciting because with any needs that come in, there's an instant swarm of prayer into the throne room on behalf of people and their need at that time. If you want to be part of that, just speak to me or Matt or one of the leaders. Then also on the first Saturday of every month, the Nepalese have a prayer and fasting morning. I think it's from 9 till 11. And it's exciting to pray with the Nepalese en masse, but the Spirit just moves and takes it. And look, I'd encourage any of you to give it a try. It's an exciting time just to pray corporately as the body of Christ together. And the other thing we do is twice a year we have a week of prayer and fasting. And they're weeks that we set aside with particular focus to press into God and just to hear what He's saying and to build our relationship with Him in a special way. And as part of that, Matt's now begun to invite the community through an open Facebook just to put in their prayer requests. And we've been overwhelmed with the response to that. There are so many people out there who have so much need and who have a basic level of faith to want to come to God and ask for His help. And so that's a precious thing. And we have a sense of treading on holy ground when we come into that time to pray for those people. So, please find a spot where you can join us corporately in prayer.
In addition to everything we're talking about on Sunday mornings, there are 4 other opportunities we wanted to give you to get input that may be of specific help. The first is a podcast, which we've just launched, called Theodynamics. It's actually my dad. It's a thing he recorded in 1978, and it's the foundation of foundations. It's the course that led to foundations, and a lot of it will sound familiar. Hopefully it's really helpful. It's available now. We are looking forward to inviting married couples who are part of the church, married couples who aren't part of the church, to join us.
For the Alpha Marriage course, which is starting on March the 3rd. We found it really helpful last time when we ran it online. And it's always good to just spend some time getting some tools on how to survive being married.
Yeah, and particularly when you're married to someone like me, it makes it a bit easier. so helpful for us, hopefully helpful for anybody. And even if you've done it before, it's something about just being able to sit down and have a bit of a check-in. And one of the things I love about it is it's not really focused around lots of input. It's focused around setting up the dialogue so you can talk to each other about how you want to move things forward.
Yep.
So that's helpful. In terms of helping family dynamics, we've got 2 opportunities that Anne will tell you about.
On the 5th of May, Citywide will be hosting the first ever circuit breaker course to be held in Tasmania. Thousands of people already have found powerful tools and strategies to deal with their temper. And it's a way to sort of start building stronger relationships within their families. So that will be kicking off on the 5th of May. But ahead of that, on the 14th of April, we've got a guy called Matt Bolton coming down, and he will be doing a free community seminar called Keeping Your Cool, which is really just, again, about offering tools and strategies to help people in their relationship.
In July, we'll also be rerunning the enormously popular Future Proofing Your Life, particularly aimed at people sort of 55 plus who need to think through what it means to organise your life a bit differently towards the latter part of your life. So Linda McDavitt will take a lead with that again, starting in July. Really encourage you to be part of that. I found it really helpful last time, and we'll have that available. Now, Dan's going to tell you about some of the things happening around the building.
Today is my 3-year anniversary. I just want to start with a thanks. This building is looking a lot better than when I arrived. Like, I'm standing on this nice carpet and walls and stuff, but I'm just conscious behind me. We've got to finish doing a bit of painting. We want to make this place look loved and respected and hireable, basically. We really want our community to see this as an asset to the community, to welcome them in. And so one thing we'd love to do in the future, we're not sure when, is if we could put some windows over there to open up the light in that space. I think it'll make this look so much more hospitable. We also want to really work on this year finding our cafe furniture, because it looks pretty naff, like worse than a schoolroom these days. And so really want to sort that out. Anyway, come with me. I'll show you a few more things. We've got the cafe. I just hesitated because we call it Namaste Cafe, but Rachel and Bikalpa have been running this for many years, and Rachel's pregnant. They're actually saying they're not wanting to run that business anymore. So this is a real opportunity for us to work out how do we really use this asset. Now we've got NDIS coming in. We'll get a few more groups like that who actually use this space to bless students, but we'd love to use it to bless others as well. The main opportunities at the moment are mornings. There's a lot of parents here for morning coffee with their toddlers, and then between 3 and 5 p.m. there's just 80, 100 kids running around here looking for food. And so there's a few opportunities for us to be able to love and meet and bless, and also it would be a profitable enterprise. So we're looking for someone for that. This is what we call the prayer room. So I don't know how many of you have been in here, probably a lot, but this is a space we want to really open up for prayer space, quiet, contemplative. But the other thing is we're wanting to make space for our children. We've got a few coming through the ranks, and we think we don't have a good place for parents to take their kids to cry during services and things. So we really need to pop a window in here. Matt thinks there might be one inside that wall somewhere, and then possibly a door so it's got direct access to the auditorium. Then this place becomes a lot more usable for that as well. One of the nicest things is in here, I think things are pretty good. This is good enough for weddings, receptions, functions, parties, tabletop sales. It's the biggest hall on the Eastern Shore, and we're getting known a bit more. We'll gradually build our customer base, but it's just we're done, and I'm really thankful for the church for all the hours they've put in. We'll swap a couple of lights out here and there. We've got some soundproofing to go on the back. There's a lot of echo in here, which make it nicer. I just accidentally clapped then. That's how you test the sound. But I think there are probably three things that make the most difference this next year. This will be a youth space by the middle of the year. As a church, we need to invest in our kids and youth work more, and providing a nice vibe for them will actually be part of that. I'm imagining that in the future we'll have board game afternoons. Games are popular these days, and jigsaw clubs or whatever, but they will kind of flow out from here. So this door here in the end will become a sliding door. So you just basically push the door back, then you get this youth space here. It's quite long and thin. That's why we want a sliding door to be able to open it up. But there'll be games consoles and basketball just out the door, and so it just becomes this youth hub where they can hang out. So youth group on a Friday night, they'll come in here, have their Bible study, their discipleship, things like that. I find that in the lounge room that we've got currently, it feels a little bit clinical. This will be their space. But to do that, we've got to build a ceiling to hide all the yucky, lovely new heaters. But we've got this storage space. We need a bit more storage for all the junk. That's pretty much unusable because it's only accessible by ladder. So we're actually going to build some stairs that go up the side here. So that means you can actually just use that as storage, and then get this new roller door in so it's soundproofed. You'll hear all the traffic behind me probably. And then we get storage space.
We hope here at Citywide you'd be experiencing community through your small groups, a bit on Sunday mornings, through participation in things like Time Out and our outreach events like Anzac Day and the Christmas in the Paddock. But there are two things we do specifically designed to build the sense of connection and community among us. The first happens once a month, and it's really simple. It's dinner together. This year, we're going back to the model of every dinner together we'll mix up a bit. So we get to meet people you haven't met before. And the first one of those is coming up in just a couple of weeks' time. So I really encourage you to sign up for dinner together. The other thing we do, and we've heard plenty of feedback about not doing a church camp last year, we're going to do a church camp again. Poatina sadly isn't available, but as we've wrestled with it and the journey that God's got us on as a church, we had a sense it might be right to connect with Perth Baptist Church. What this means is we'll have our church camp at Perth Baptist Church, which in some ways, I don't know if you realise this, was kind of the founding church of the Baptist movement in Tasmania. The Perth Baptist Church has played a really important part in the state story. There were massive Baptist youth events that happened there from the 50s through to the 70s. You can talk to Agnes or Pat Curé or others about that, Morris and Chris. In fact, I've got a photo here of, I think this might have been 1954 or 56. We, as we've been wrestling this through, went and connected with the Perth Baptist Church, and they're really looking forward to having us. So we're planning to have our church camp on May the 16th. Friday, May the 16th, Saturday, May the 17th, and Sunday, May the 18th. And what will be a little bit different is they don't offer accommodation at the church, kind of. They have a big paddock out the back, and they're willing for people who'd like to camp there. They're a bit nervous if it's been raining. They don't want to have cars on there or caravans on there if it's muddy. They don't want to wreck the paddock, but quite happy to people to camp there. And if it hasn't been raining, they're quite happy also to have RVs and other things there. But apart from that, what we'll be encouraging people to do is to find accommodation in Longford or Evandale or Launceston. Leanne and I went up to visit Perth Baptist Church a couple of weeks ago. We stayed in Launceston and it only took 12 minutes to get from where we were staying to the church. And so what that means is everybody can find the kind of accommodation that best suits them. And then we'll come together with all of our congregations to take a journey. But also we'll have the annual Nepal versus Australia soccer game. I will have some teaching and we'll have just a lot of fun together. Our church camp is every year a bit of a highlight. So can I encourage you, set aside May 16 to 18 and book your accommodation now. It is a time of year where accommodation is cheaper and more available at all these locations. So I really encourage you, book your accommodation now. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it really is a moment where we can just be together and be family. I can't wait.
Hi guys, my name's Chelsea. I help with the youth and children's work here at Citywide. Just here to give you a bit of a rundown about what it's looking like this year. So for youth group, we're a small bunch this year. We've got about four people coming, but in some ways that is a blessing because we get to change the way we do it and try new things, which is pretty cool. We've also got some new people on the youth team. So we've got Anya, who's been around for a little bit. And then we've got Ashlyn and Daniela, who are joining the planning team this year. And I'll just sort of be hovering, helping out where I can. So really looking forward to that. So if you could please be praying that we can nurture the ones that come and also that more will come as well, and pray that we can provide a space for that. And then with Kids Church, NRG Kids, that's the same as normal. We've still got the lovely Sophie and the lovely Danny teaching as well as myself. And we've got about 3 families that come at the moment, which is good. So if you could pray that will be a steady year as well and that will continue to grow, that would be good.
Every Sunday we have a whole team of people working behind the scenes so that those who aren't physically with us can be part of church online through YouTube or Facebook. One of the people who is part of the team but often isn't physically present is Diane Allen.
Hi, my name's Diane Allen. You might know my name through the prayer chain and also through the recent month of prayer that we've had at church that I've been doing with Cheryl. I'm pleased to be on the journey that I'm on now, and I'm continuing to grow. So it never stops. You're learning all the time what God's got direction for you, and He tells you, you're always being led. So even though I've been a Christian since I'm at a very young age, it's still a journey, and it will be a journey until the time I meet Him. I've been connecting online with people because I can't go to church physically anymore. I really miss church anyway. I do miss the companionship and just seeing people, but it's nice to see them even online and you see the back of their heads and say, oh yeah, good morning. This is my way of staying connected to our church and just answering what God needs me to do in my life. Yep.
Every week by far, more people engage with us online than do physically at any of our services. We know it's right to focus and keep focusing on finding ways to connect with and serve those online as a growing part of our online congregation.
I'm sure you'll agree the walls need painting, so we'll get to that fairly soon. But the main thing I want to talk about out here is our community outreach. We're networking with more partners and people around the place, working with the Warrane Mornington Neighbourhood Centre, with Mission Australia, and we're sort of getting out of our walls a little bit. We also really want to support each of the members of our church to find their calling where they live or where they work, to really live for the kingdom in those spaces. That's our prime outreach, is you guys living Christ where you are. But also we've got Anzac Day again this year. We are integrating more into Lena Valley. We have more connections this year through the Lena Valley Community Hub and things like that. But also here we'll have Christmas in the Paddock. I think last year was our best one yet, and it just keeps getting a little bit better each time. What we found here is there are a heap of kids who live around this area. This estate behind our church is full of young families, full of tradies, and we just want to reach those families and help them out. Parenting is a tough time these days. They're working hard, extra hours, and so we just want to be able to provide service for them. We also want to help kids come to know Christ, and if there's a way of matching those two. In January next year, we're aiming to run a kids club here. We've got the perfect venue. We just need to be able to get the kids in. So we'll be doing a bit of door knocking, bit of surveying, not manipulative surveying, but actually saying how can our church be of service, and really asking genuinely how can we make a difference here. And then I think running a kids club in January, I'm imagining we'll start with 30, 40 kids and then grow it from there. Once you've got a critical mass, free childcare during the end of January is very popular. So it won't take long after we've started to be able to build that up and to build relationships here in Mornington.
Late last year, we made contact with a bunch of local business people whose heart had led them to want to make a difference, and in particular to sponsor a refugee family to move to Hobart. But then they realised that they wouldn't have the time needed to do things like taking the family to the shops or showing them how to navigate Centrelink. And so as we discussed it, I knew that's the heart of Citywide and what we'd want to do. So we've agreed to partner with this local group of business people who are sponsoring a family to come to Hobart and hopefully to build a team so that once the family land here in Hobart, we as a church will surround them with care and help them settle into what will be a very strange experience for them. This is information about the new government program that makes it all possible.
Australia has a new community refugee sponsorship program. The time has come for you to join in with your friends, family, neighbours, co-workers, or friends that you've not yet met to welcome refugees to Australia. This is your chance to join a growing global movement that is helping refugees find safety and belonging in Australia. This groundbreaking approach has operated successfully for decades in countries like Canada and others across the world. And now it is our turn to demonstrate the strength of the Australian community to welcome newcomers. This is an opportunity for you to support refugees as they establish their lives in local communities like yours across the country.
There should be no fear about anybody joining, because if you can't do something, somebody else in your group will be able to, for sure.
Often when you want to do some voluntary work, you've got to commit to a particular day a week or something, and this is so flexible and takes advantage of the skills that you've got.
It's been actually relatively easy and actually a joy because everybody is fabulous. So I think we've been really lucky.
If you want to support refugees in a way that is practical, meaningful, and life-changing, get involved today. Visit refugeesponsorship.org.au.
We've almost finished, but there's some pretty big things. Well, two particularly big things that I want to share with you before we finish. The first is this, that Baptist churches around Australia are committing to, in a particular way this year, work together to invite people to get to know Jesus through the Alpha course. We're looking at starting an Alpha course on April 30th, and we're really hoping it'll be a moment where lots of our friends might get to come and explore faith for the first time.
This is the greatest season of evangelism in our generation. And so I invite you to be a part, to join now on Mission 25.
In 2023, we encouraged all of our Queensland Baptist churches to lead Alpha courses in their churches, in their communities together. And I don't think it's any coincidence that in 2023, we saw more new believers get baptised in our Queensland Baptist movement than ever before in our 170-year history. That's why I'm so excited about joining together, not just with churches in Queensland, but Baptist churches right around Australia as we lead Alpha courses together.
God-sized dreams move us to depend on Him and partner with others. Let's join together to share the good news of Jesus across Australia in 2025.
Mission 25 is a collective of churches who are joining together to share Jesus across Australia through prayer, invitation, and through running Alpha in Term 2 2025. We believe and pray that by coming together, united in mission, we will fan into flame the glowing ember of evangelism across our country and see many more Aussies transformed by the good news of Jesus.
We've been so excited to see people encountering Jesus and choosing to follow Him across our local churches through Alpha courses.
Alpha is simply one of the best tools we have for communicating the truth of who Jesus is to people looking for hope.
We're excited to see Alpha run in homes, in small groups, in big groups, in churches, in schools, in prisons, in workplaces.
I know God's going to move. I know we're going to see a move of God's Spirit across this nation. We're going to see many people put their faith in Jesus and have their lives transformed forever. Hey, make sure you're part of it.
Would you join us for Mission 25?
Join us for Mission 25.
Would you join us for Mission 25?
Would you join us in Mission 25?
Would you join us in Mission 25?
2025. Let's lead Alpha together, Term 2, and see many people come to know Jesus.
Since I arrived at the church, one of the things that was immediately obvious and what almost everybody spoke to me about was this. This is our backyard, and it is an incredible asset we have. We've been taking a journey as a church, and what we'd like to present to you today is our general sense of what might be right here in our backyard. It seems that in the Clarence area there are three groups of people in particular that have significant needs, and those three groups are women in particular escaping domestic violence, older, often single women, and people with disability. In talking with Creative Homes Tasmania, they actually paid out of their own pocket to do a survey of our backyard, and they came up with a plan that said we could fit 17 units on our backyard. We think that's probably too much. We need to keep green space and a place for the community to gather. But see if you can picture with me a community here made up of about 15 units with 4 or 5 for women escaping domestic violence, possibly down the back there. And then up here, a bunch of units, again, maybe 4 or 5, for older single women. And then maybe along here, another 4 or 5 units for people with a disability. Now, our sense is that these three groups of people could work really well together, and they could bring a benefit. So they're not just seen as people who are in need, but that each one can contribute to a community. And we'd be talking about our church helping facilitate a sense of community. We would be partnering with professional organisations. The Salvation Army have already expressed an interest in helping manage the accommodation for women escaping domestic violence. And there is already a disability service provider, the same one who works with Allen Park in Kingston, talking about or expressing real interest in managing the disability side of things for us. We know we're not professionals, but what we can do as a church, we can work on the community side of things. And that's what the Kingston Uniting Church have done. They'll have grand final parties. We've already got time out that happens here, art groups. We've got a bunch of opportunities. Personally, I would love to see us move our cafe into where the art room currently is and have turned that into a cafe restaurant that's accessible to this whole community, so that it faces out this way and becomes a bit of a community hub with tables outside and in. So I think one of the questions will be, how do we structure ourselves in order to facilitate community? So we've got a document that sort of spells this vision out. We're just at the stage of talking with politicians and exploring interest. We know we couldn't fund all this ourselves, but we'll be looking at creative ways, of creative possibilities for funding it. But it does look like it will answer a lot of questions. There aren't a lot of models like this. Normally government departments work in silos, so the disability service providers will be in one area and those working with domestic violence will be in another. But our sense is that those three groups could be a real benefit for each other, and that this community wouldn't just be a community for people in need. It will be a community where everybody gets to bring their contribution to the level they want to. So we would not be expecting that anybody who is part of this community has to be part of the church in any way, shape or form, but that the church would do our best just to support this community as a real practical model of what it means to follow, bless and share. As I edit this video, I feel stuck. I am conscious of so many really significant things that we haven't even had the chance to talk about. The way that the Levendale community is starting to build as a model of rural church. The partnership with Baptist Mission and G1 now becoming a worker for Baptist Mission Australia, supporting the work of our Nepalese congregation. I'm so excited this year we're supporting 2 new Nepalese pastors in Nepal. And there's so much. I'm glad that today you've got a handout with some of the dates for the year. Don't feel overwhelmed, because there's a lot. I am conscious of that. And for me, as I try to communicate it, it's just, for me, it's both exciting and a little bit overwhelming, because there is so much, but it all has its place. And here at Citywide, we don't think it's your task to be involved in all of this. Just you need to know all of this is Citywide and an expression of our heart to follow, bless and share. This year, we're all about what does it mean to really follow Jesus, to take what John Mark Comer writes about in this book seriously. I hope that at the end of this year, we will, of all the different things we've done, we will have had a successful year if at the end of this year, your sense is that you are closer to Jesus than you were at the start of this year. That's what the whole year, that's what our whole church is about. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I look forward to sharing 2025 with you.